Hey everyone, so we are back for our Faithful Team 15. As you see, I am by myself. So we're trying something a little different just to see how you guys like it and to see how the vibe is and the information going forward um, just to see how it works. And you can let us know if you like it this way or we can bring both of us back in and, go, do the original way. So, it's always fine to do things differently. And so before I go into what we're going to present today, we do have a few announcements. So we are getting ready for our Faithful 15, not Faithful 15, I'm sorry, our singles ministry sessions. So it's going to be based off of Pastor Kellen's book, Unsuccessfully Single. And we'll be having 5 sessions. So that'll be 5 weeks starting at 7 p.m. And so if you need any more information, you can see it on our page and you can shoot us an email if you have any more questions about attending. But it should be fun. So definitely come out to that. And if you need to grab the book, it's on his website at kellenbrooks.com. It's on Amazon, it's on Kindle. So, and then the other announcement is that we're getting ready for our talent show, Chosen. That's the name of the talent show. It's going to be April 6th. That's a Friday at 7 p.m. at the Dearborn Theater. So if you have a talent, please send us a 1-minute submission video. If you sing, if you dance, if you are a poet, an inspirational speaker, the list goes on and on. We have information on our page so that you can see exactly what we're looking for. But that would be the submission or admission to get into the event. And you can also, and so if you win or whatever, we'll have like a small money prize and things like that. So, and also if you're a producer or you're a singer or you put on shows or events, definitely come out so you can check out the talent and see if you would like to book them as well. So with that being said, we're going to go into what we've talked about, what we're going to be talking about today. And excuse for my sporadic brain. I'm still trying to get used to my new schedule with school and everything. So please bear with me. But I'm going to go into prayer and then we'll tackle our question for tonight. So Dearly Father, I just thank you, Lord. I just thank you for bringing me here today to speak to your people, Lord. I just pray that your word goes forth and what you want to say to your people. I thank you that your Holy Spirit has already gone forth before this word has even been spoken. And I pray that your spirit of understanding is with everyone who is listening and that it will be your voice, not my own. In your name I pray, amen. Okay, so our question for today is, why is God making me wait? So it depends on where you are in your life. You've been waiting for a very long time. God has made promises to you. People have spoken into your life. They've prophesied, and you just haven't seen a manifestation of any of the prophecies or the promises that God has said to you. So you're in this state of waiting. You're just waiting for the manifestation. And you're probably gotten to a point where you're saying, why is it taking so long? I've done everything, and you thought you've done everything that God has asked you to do, or you made changes in your life and you're still not getting the results, or you're not seeing the promise come forth. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And our main verse is going to be out of Numbers 9, verses 15 through 23. So it's a little extensive, but it's definitely going to bring to light why God may be making you wait. So just to set up the context of what I'm about to read, the Israelites, they're in the desert. They have not yet made it to the promised land yet, but God has been testing them consistently in the desert. And so it's at the point where they're being led by the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. So in Numbers 9, verse 15, it says, on the day of the tabernacle, the tent of the testimony, we set up the cloud evening to out above the tabernacle looked like fire. That is how like fire. That the cloud lifted, the Israelites set out. Wherever the cloud settled, the Israelites and at his command they encamped. They encamped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained encamped. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. At the Lord's command, they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening till morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they set out. Whether by day or by night, whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or a year, the Israelites would remain in camp and not set out. But when it lifted, they would set out. At the Lord's command, they encamped, and at the Lord's command, they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. So we see this repeated over and over again, that they didn't move until the Lord moved, and when the Lord stopped, they stopped. And what we don't see sometimes in our time of waiting is that we're in a time of being prepared for what God is wanting to give to us. We think that we don't see the things that need to be worked out within us that could hinder whatever it is that he wants to give to us. And we see also with the Israelites that they were being tested in the desert. So the desert is a place of being prepared. You see a lot of people in the Bible before they actually set out to do what God has asked them to do or fulfill whatever promise God is wanting them to fulfill, that they went into a place of wilderness. And in that wilderness is usually test, and they continuously test. So that's probably why God hasn't done it yet, because he wants to make sure that you're ready. And we're seeing in the story as well that the Israelites were at the brink of getting to the promised land. So they had came up to different tests, like coming to the river and the river split apart and wanting water, and then they got water, but then it got to the point where it got so meticulous of wanting to or needing to obey God that they didn't know what was going to come next. It's like they didn't know if they had to sit still for 1 minute, for a day, for a week, for a month. It was like, this is to the point where God was like, do you trust me? Do you trust? Can you follow my leading? Can you hear my voice? Can you see when I'm moving and when I'm not moving? And he was training them. But unfortunately, we know with the Israelites, they ended up complaining, and they ended up forfeiting that promise that God wanted them to have. Because when they got to the promised land, unfortunately, while they were in the desert, they didn't see this as a time of preparedness, and they complained. And when they got to the promised land, they saw the giants, and their faith wasn't strong enough to defeat the giants. They didn't see that God had already went before them. But the thing that you have to realize is that you should not go anywhere where God hasn't gone before you. And if he's not there, you're going to get your tail handed to you. And that's what happens with the Israelites. So they realized that, okay, after they rebelled and they got afraid, they tried to go back into the land, and they got beat because the Lord didn't move with them. It's like, I didn't move. Like, I've been training you this whole time. You don't move unless I move. And you went against that, and you end up getting beat up. So you need to learn that in this time of preparedness, that number one, that you're training yourself to have faith in God, to have trust in God. Faith is trust in God. And we please him when we have faith in him. That God wasn't pleased with the Israelites, and therefore was not with them when they tried to go back into the land. And then you're going to always face trials in the desert or in the promised land. And usually when you have that promise, your trials are going to be much bigger. So, and we also see that as well with from Jesus to Paul, when they started going on in their ministry, the things that they faced were a lot greater. And if they did not develop that trust in God and knowing that where God was leading them is exactly where he wanted them to be, they would have forfeited the very things that God wanted them to have and to bring forth. So you're going to face trials in the desert, and you will face trials in the promised land. But if you cannot handle the trials in the desert, you will not be able to handle the trials in the promised land, and you will forfeit the blessing that God has for your life because through your lack of faith. God does not want you guessing. Clearly, He really wants you to rely on Him and to trust in Him, and He wants to show you and tell you where to go. So where He has already been, and He wants to show you where He's already been, but you have to discipline yourself to know when He is moving and when He wants you to wait. There is a blessing in doing both. So just because you're waiting doesn't mean that God's not moving, and just because you're moving doesn't mean that God has gone before you. You need to have discernment. It says in Proverbs 3:5-8 to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. And then also in Isaiah 30:21, it says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. So He definitely wants us, He's training us to hear His voice. He wants us to know that even though I have this grand thing for you to do, or I have this grand thing for you, whatever it may be, it could be a promotion at your job, it could be you want a family, or you want to be married, but if you are not listening to the Lord, you can definitely forfeit those things. Even if they come to you, if you haven't trained yourself to not be offended by people very easily, you may forfeit that CEO position or whatever promotion you want at work because you keep chopping people down and taking their bait and everything like that, and you're unfocused and you won't be able to lead. Or you're saying, well, I want a spouse, but you have bitterness inside of you, or you don't know how to forgive, or you don't know how to submit, whether you're submitting to God or to your spouse. You don't know how to do those things, and it's causing strife in the relationship and could lead to divorce. So the Lord is definitely, He sees it all. He's looking out for you, and He wants you to have His best, but He also wants you to be good stewards of His best for your life. So what are some other reasons why God could be making you wait? Like I said, the first thing, it could be you can end up sabotaging what God wants for you. Mainly not being a good steward of it. You're ignorant to how to handle it or to care for it. When we get something new, we read the instructions, and so that we could take good care of it. We don't read the instructions. We don't know how to put it together. We don't know how it works. So we definitely want to be in a place where we could take care of what God is going to give to us. He also wants Himself to be exalted through you and it not be about you. So if you're dealing with pride, maybe the platform that He's going to give to you is going to create maybe even a fan base or whatever, but He doesn't want you to get distracted by that. He wants you to still be able to do whatever it is that He's asking you to do, whether or not people are with you or against you. Very simple. It's just probably not ready yet. So things take time, and He definitely wants it to be perfect. There's this commercial where they're talking about green beans, but they're showing that they don't pick the green beans until it's prime time, and that's what makes their product quality. It's because they wait until it's time to pick those beans. And so the Lord responds the same way. He's like, not just yet, just a little bit. I don't know if you ever eaten food that wasn't well prepared, or you didn't wait long enough, and now you got to put it back in the microwave, or you got to put it back in the oven because you're anticipating to eat that whatever it was, and it just wasn't ready yet. So apply that to the word, and the Lord definitely wants it to be ready when He gives it to you. He's a good Father, and He wants His best. So that's a part of it being His best, is it being ready. And there is something that He is still working out in you, or He's still wanting to work out in you that's taking up space. So what the Lord is going to give to you is going to be grand. It's going to be big. It's going to need a lot of room. And there could be things that we're holding on to that could be taking up space for that very thing that He wants us to have. We do a lot of spring cleaning and things like that, and so so we can make room for new things. So we can also apply that to our spiritual life as well, to make room for what God has for you. And then the last thing that I have put down here, but I'm sure there's more reasons, but that you just haven't obeyed yet. You haven't sacrificed things out of your life, like you haven't done what He's asked you to do, or what He's told you to do, and so therefore, you just not going to be able to receive it. So definitely use this time, especially as singles, to be prepared. I know you want it, whatever it is. I know you're desiring it, and God knows as well, but he's going to give it to you. He's going to give it to you when it's right. And so, and use this time to develop and hone your listening skills so that you know when he's moving, get up, move, be ready. And then when it's time for you to sit still, you sit still. He definitely wants to go with you everywhere you go. So that's what I'm presenting today. And I hope you got something out of it. Have a good week. Bye.